Uncertainty continues to swirl around Ibrox as pressure mounts on Russell Martin's position. Behind the scenes, key figures are weighing up their options, and Rangers chairman Andrew Cavenagh now finds himself at the centre of discussions that could shape the club's immediate future. Let's break this down in today's video, along with all the other Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. But first, Craig Bellamy has admitted he has held talks with Mikey Moore in a bid to persuade him to represent Wales. The Rangers loanee was born in London and has represented England up to under-19, winning 8 caps to date at that level. But he also qualifies to play for Wales through his grandparents. Highly rated at Spurs, the 18-year-old is expected to have a bright future in the game, and it was reported Wales Chiefs were looking to get him to commit his future to them over the country of his birth. Bellamy has now been asked about it and said, "We look at every player that's available. I'd prefer it if it wasn't aired, if I'm being honest. It does us no favours. We do our work behind the scenes. We do it for every player we feel is going to offer us something, but I'm always against pressure from the outside. I've spoken to a lot of players we feel would definitely benefit us in the future. We need a big squad, so we're always aware of that. We would be naive not to be aware of it. Any individual I don't believe, especially young players, should be in the public domain. I understand it, but it's not how I go about it. For me to mention individuals, I never do. But for us, we're always aware of who can represent us. Do they have the mentality? Do they have the ability to add to us? And if they do, then we're always aware and always trying to be as active as we can, as we have been for a number of years. Moore has made 6 appearances for Rangers so far after moving on loan from Spurs in the summer. Now, Rangers' season continues to spiral under Russell Martin, with frustration inside Ibrox now at boiling point. Despite edging past Livingston 2-1, the result has done little to ease the growing fury among supporters who have watched their side stumble to the club's worst league start in 47 years. Martin remains under intense pressure, with large sections of the Rangers fan base openly calling for his dismissal. Chairman Andrew Cavenagh continues to back his manager publicly, but protests at recent home matches against Hibernian and Genk have left no doubt about the mood in the stands. The 1-0 defeat to Genk in the Europa League opener underlined just how toxic the atmosphere has become. More than 12,000 seats were left empty at Ibrox, a stark contrast to the club's reputation for raucous European nights. Instead, the stadium was flat and despondent as Rangers slumped to yet another damaging result. Former Rangers midfielder Derek Ferguson believes the time has come for decisive action, insisting the board can no longer ignore the discontent. Speaking to the media, he said, "Cavenagh and Marath have to come out now because it's dire straits. They need to show bottle and address the fans. I've never seen the fans so despondent. But you know what? I can see the next home game being in front of a half-empty stadium." The conditions were beautiful against Genk, heading into a holiday weekend, and Ibrox was flat. The owners will take this into account, speak to those in the know, and make the only decision to relieve Russell Martin of his duties. Cavenagh, who only became chairman in June, would not have envisaged such a turbulent start to his tenure. His continued loyalty to Martin is increasingly baffling supporters, many of whom feel the relationship between the manager and the fan base is now beyond repair. The pressure will only intensify with 2 crucial away fixtures before the international break, against Sturm Graz in the Europa League and Falkirk in the Premiership. Anything less than maximum points could leave Cavenagh with little choice but to act, as patience at Ibrox wears thin. Martin's only lifeline is to string together a run of victories, but every setback chips away further at his already fragile position. For Cavenagh, credibility is also on the line, and unless Rangers turn things around quickly, the calls to sack Martin will only grow louder. Rangers now stand at a crossroads, with both the manager's future and the chairman's authority under the microscope. Russell Martin may still have time to salvage his position, but the margin for error has all but disappeared. 2 wins before the international break could buy him breathing space. Anything less, and the decision Andrew Cavenagh has been reluctant to make may soon become unavoidable. Before we get into our next story, if you are enjoying today's video and you would like to see more and stay updated with the latest Rangers news, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Thank you, let's get back into the video. In other news, Rangers may have got the win against Livingston, but let's be honest, it was anything but convincing. It took a last-minute goal to scrape past one of the weakest sides in the league, a game that should have been over by half-time. Instead, fans were left watching another laboured, toothless performance. The result might have spared Russell Martin from even louder calls for his head, but it hasn't eased the discontent. Supporters know this team is miles off the pace. And that brings us to the bigger issue raised by Chris Boyd, who hasn't held back in pointing the finger beyond the manager. He's demanding answers from the very top of the club, the sporting director Kevin Thelwell, the head of recruitment Dan Purdy, and even the wider leadership in the boardroom. These men were brought in from Everton over the summer, and what have Rangers got to show for it? An 8 million to 10 million gamble on an unproven striker in Youssef Shamiti, a player who looks nowhere near the level required. That signing alone sums up the failures of recruitment, and Boyd is asking the questions fans have been shouting for weeks. What exactly are Thelwell and Purdy doing? Where's the strategy? Where's the improvement? It doesn't stop there. Boyd has also called out Patrick Stewart and the so-called root and branch review of the football club. That review was meant to be a turning point, a moment where Rangers took a hard look at themselves and came back stronger. Instead, months later, there are no answers, no plan, and no visible progress. It looks like another empty promise from a board that has repeatedly failed to back up its words with action. And then there's the managerial appointment itself. Boyd pointed out that Rangers dragged their heels, weighing up candidates in a process that made no sense. The idea that Russell Martin, who had been out of work for a long period, was put up against names with far greater pedigree only shows how muddled the thinking at Ibrox has become. Fans aren't seeing ambition, they're seeing confusion, hesitation, and failure at every turn. So yes, Martin is under huge pressure for the dreadful performances and the lack of identity on the pitch. But as Boyd has said, the problems run much deeper. From recruitment to leadership, this club is broken at every level. The late winner yesterday might have stolen the points, but it hasn't silenced the growing anger in the stands. Supporters want accountability, and they won't stop until the people at the very top of Rangers are forced to answer for this mess. But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We post all the latest Rangers news every single day, so join our fast growing community so you never miss out. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.